Hello there. This is in response to one of Comic Collector Geek's challenges. It's like, wow, I don't believe sort of like, you'll see the tags in the actual video title. Um, probably should have memorized that before I started doing this, but top 10 books that I can't believe I found these, or I can't believe I own these, or in the case that um, things that I would say are very important to me collecting wise. So I know that he's doing another challenge. I'm shooting this on Thursday, and it was like last Friday he put up the challenge, and this one will probably go up this Saturday. And he's going to have a second part of this challenge, like the top 10 books. It's like, why do I own like you? It's like, oh my god, I can't believe I own these books. Why did I buy these? These are crazy. So I might do that one as well. We'll see. Um, but And these are not in like this is not like 10 to number one, although the last three books probably should be the top three, but it's not in any specific order. Now, let's get into it. Um, First book, this is probably not a well-known character for a lot of people. Some people will like it, but I wanted this book because it's the first appearance of this character. And this character had a TV show in the 90s or maybe it was the 2000s. I can't remember. And the character is known as Painkiller Jane, and her first appearance is in issue number 1 of 22 Brides. Now, the interesting thing is I found this book in not a dollar bin, a $2 bin. And surprisingly, they had this and another copy, both for $2, but I took this one first, left the other one, said, well, somebody else probably might like Painkiller Jane and might take it, but no one took it. It ended up in the $1 bin, and I ended up buying it after that. So that's book 10, I guess you would call it, but it's, like I said, not in any real order. It's more likely these are actually the first 7 or more in alphabetical order than anything else. Um, well, not this one. This one is Pirates. It's Darkwater, but it's Pirates of Darkwater, issue number 1, part 1 of a 6 limited series. I have most of the series, but I'm only showing issue number 1, and I loved the Pirates of Darkwater cartoon when it came out. I know it came out, I think I was in my late teens or early 20s. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but I was probably a little older than I should have been. But I love watching cartoons. It doesn't matter to me what age it is. If you love watching cartoons, just watch them. So we got Pirates of Darkwater, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics and Hanna-Barbera. And this is also something that, while I have this, I need to see if I can find it on not VHS, on DVD. I would love to find the VHS copy as well, but whatever. It is what it is. That will do for now until I find a DVD so I can rewatch the cartoon because it doesn't seem to be streaming anywhere. Anyways, the third on this list, I guess that would be number 7. That's a 10. That's a 10. No, this would be 10, 9. This would be number 8. Sorry. We got G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, issue number 52. Grew up a G.I. Joe fan. I had almost all the toys. When I say I had almost all of them, my parents spoiled me. I had G.I. Joe, I had Star Wars, I had Transformers, I had some He-Man. Not very many He-Man, but a little. I had a few GoBots. I also had like a few old Hot Wheels. None of it. I don't have any of it anymore. So getting comics for a good price of some of the key books and for key characters is important to me. So we got issue number 52 of G.I. Joe. And this is an important story, if I remember. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering correctly. It is when we find out that after Storm Shadow was shot, and I believe it was the Baroness who shot him when Joe's invaded Cobra Island, when later on turned out he had come back from the dead and he appears in the pit to talk. Basically, he needs to talk to Snake Eyes, and he gets in a fight with a bunch of the Joes. I'm pretty sure that's that. I'm like 100% or like almost 100% sure that's that issue. Now, this one is probably one that should be closer to the top of the list, but like I said, I sort of did this in alphabetical order. It's not for this character, but for what the cover is. And actually, what I'm going to do is this one I'm actually going to take out of the bag and board. It's actually issue number 1 of Northguard, and that's a Canadian character. And this one is not one that, it's not a highly valuable character, anything like that. I don't think. But it was a sketch cover, and I had a friend of mine named, shout out to you there, Dan. I should have had this memorized before I did this. Is it on here? No. I'll put it in the description to his Instagram. Smash Head Studios. Yes, he's an artist, and I had him do a cover on this book that shows both Northguard and my original character from what I called Project Phoenix. And they are fighting back to back, and they're fighting giant alien beavers. And he did both sides. So they're fighting giant alien beavers. I think it's giant alien mutant beavers is sort of what we came up with the idea. So that one is something that is in my collection and will never go anywhere because he's a friend of mine. So shout out to Daniel. And I have to say thanks for that. That was very great. I would like to get more from you, but we'll see whether or not I can ever afford it again. Now, this one, if I'm remembering, there's issue number 1 of this series, and then there's issue number 2. Issue number 1 is it's sort of the real first appearance, but it's more of the cameo first appearance. And this one is issue number 2, is the true first appearance of this character as the Rocketeer. So you know who, if you know, you know, and it's Star Slayer, the Log of the Jolly Roger. So, interesting enough, issue number 1 of this is actually, I think, the first appearance of this character, the actual Star Slayer character. I still have to get that. I haven't found that yet. But yeah, I picked that up, and I believe, yeah, that cost me $20. I think that's the most I've spent for a comic that's a comic. Now, this one is probably the most valuable book I own. I still have to read this, but the character is such an icon of the 80s or 90s. It's an iconic character. Doesn't get as much love as it should. And we have issue 1 of 4 from Dark Horse Comics. It is Tank Girl number 1. And I found this in the dollar bin. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. I found it in a dollar bin. And when I bought it, I had no idea that it had any sort of value. And it's like an $80 to $100 books, depending on what it is. It's not the character's first appearance. The first appearance of that character is in a very different book, very different thing, and it's very, very expensive. So, not something I will probably ever get. Now, this one is another nostalgia book from my childhood. I had to pick, I had 3 options. I had the G.I. Joe, and there's this, and there was also Star Wars. And I had sort of one issue from each of those series. It's like, okay, what am I going to pick? Am I going to pick the Star Wars one? And the Star Wars one it's a great story, but I've already shown that. And I think I've shown this as well. But this is one of the pivotal sort of moments for me as a kid growing up in the 80s, loving Transformers. We got issue number 18 of Transformers, Blaster and Straxus battle between 2 worlds. So, and this is actually, I think, part 2 of this thing. I don't have the first one, but I have this one. I do have reprints of this done by, what the heck is it called? Dreamwave. So I have them, but I still don't have the original Marvel one of this. And the Star Wars book that I had wanted, it was a story where it was sort of a Solo Leia story where she was on her own and she meets this stormtrooper who was from Alderaan, and he had a chunk of Alderaan rock around his neck as a trophy, and they get a huge. It's a great story. I can't remember the issue number. Maybe I'll put it in the description, or I'll talk about it in a different video, or maybe I'll just do a video about that. Anyway, now the next one, I paid $9 for this, along with several others, Marvel UK books. But this is Rampage magazine, starring the Hulk, and it's issue number 10. Now you would say, well, what's the big deal about this? Well, the big deal is this little part here where it says all new X-Men trapped on the living island. It is part of that story that is the new X-Men, sort of like the new X-Men. I don't know if it's all part of giant size X-Men or something. Basically, it's part of those books that I will never be able to afford, period. I'm never going to be able to buy them. So I'm not going to open that one up, but I would say that would be one of my definite. It's sort of a key, but not really, because it's a UK edition. But it's one of my favorite things that I probably will hang on to for quite some time. Now this one, we get back into Rocketeer, getting to the last two books. This is actually oversized. It's the Rocketeer by Dave Stevens. Introduction by Harlan Ellison. Yeah, don't talk to me about him. It says all 5 action chapters. So this I got for $15 at a parking lot sale that my local antique market put on. $15. Now I know it's not in the 100% the best condition, but I've seen others having to buy. It's going for like $50 or something like that online, and it's like, okay. Now, but that's not the best Dave Stevens thing I've ever found. I've talked about this in a few videos, but I haven't actually shown it yet. It's not a true comic book, but it counts. We have here a hardcover art book, Dave Stevens covers and stories. And I might do an actual video on this book at some point. I'll show you that. And there is the back of it as well. Done by IDW. And I found this at my local public library. They were having a book sale and they had it marked at $10. And yes, if you know how much that goes for online, then you know that's an amazing deal. And I have to admit, I've become a huge I have a few other Dave Stevens books, but I would say the ones that I showed are the most important to me at this point, along with everything else I just showed. Anyway, so I don't want this video to get too long, or I could go on forever about this stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things that you do on YouTube. Let me know what you thought. What do you think was the best thing I found? And pickups, like I said, this is not a haul video. This is my top 10 video. What do you think that's a good top 10? What wouldn't be in your top 10? There you go. So thanks very much for watching. And I might do once Alan the Comic Collector Geek. Shout out to there, Alan. This one was a good idea. I might do the follow-up challenge. That might be harder for me to put together. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you're all having a great day, and bye.